Good morning and welcome everyone to our first press briefing for the year 2026. We recognize the year did start on a somber note for the media fraternity with the passing of Lisa Joseph, and we extend our deepest condolences. I, of course, share in your grief, particularly with my former colleagues at DBS Television. Now, as we move forward, we wish everyone a productive year and look forward to continued engagement and cooperation throughout 2026. I am WSPC 407 Romulus, and I will now introduce the members of our head table. And at the head of our table, we have Commissioner of Police, Mr. Vern God, the Deputy Commissioner of Police with responsibility for corporate services and strategic operations, Mr. Ronald Phillip, the Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for the Central Division, Mr. Luke De Freitas, the Superintendent of Police in charge of the 7th Division, Mr. Stephen Victrin, the Superintendent of Police with responsibility for the Department of Road Safety and Traffic Investigations, Mr. Troy Lamontine, the Assistant Superintendent of Police with responsibility for the Grosley, Rodney Bay, and Babonneau Police Stations, Mr. Eldon Henry, and Inspector in charge of Special Services Unit, Mr. Lucius Small. At this time, we will listen to a statement from Mr. Lucius Small, the Inspector in charge of Special Services Unit.
Good morning, all. Let me take this opportunity to wish each and everyone all the best for the year. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Vungan, and also the executive members of the police force for giving me this opportunity to be in charge of the Special Services Unit. Let me say also a special thank you to the members of the Special Services Unit. The excellent job that you did last year was unwavering. We conducted our patrols in the various hotspots in this country. We conducted our traffic checks, mobile patrol, foot patrol. We'll continue to do our best to make sure that the citizens of this country are safe. For this year, on our operations plan, we'll continue. We'll not leave no stone unturned. We'll apply more pressure on those who tend to go contrary to the laws of this country. We'll continue our mobile patrol, our foot patrol, in-house training, and we wish that I wish everyone at the unit all the best for the year, and a special thank you to members of the public for assisting us during last year. We'll continue to do our best to make sure that St. Lucia is a safe place. Thank you.
Small. Now we will call on the Assistant Superintendent of Police with responsibility for the Grosley, Rodney Bay, and Babonneau Police Stations, Mr. Eldon Henry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to all. This being our first press brief for the year. I would like to start by thanking the police officers who operate within the Northern Division for their hard work and dedication to duty throughout 2025. They continue to make commendable efforts in the thrust of keeping people safe despite the challenges they encounter on a daily basis. As we step into 2026, we want to renew our commitment to the community, to the mission and vision of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, as we continue to improve the quality of service to our community. I would also like to thank the stakeholders and community members who continue to show their support to our law enforcement efforts. We look forward to continued working relationship in 2026. So again, thank you very much. Grosley, Babonneau, and Rodney Bay stations is a very large geographical area, and the officers here throughout 2025 did a tremendous job in maintaining a peaceful area, particularly during the last 3 months. We know during the Christmas season there's a heightened level of activity in the north. We ensure that we had a very robust presence, and I would also like to extend thanks and gratitude to the other departments who provided support to our efforts in that regard, which includes the Special Services Unit, the Department of Road Safety, the CID patrol, and others who provided support in different capacities. So we had a very good festive season in terms of the police presence on the streets, and I'm sure that you could have seen the videos going around on social media of police officers out there conducting traffic checks and various other operations. So again, I would like to commend the officers for their effort. Moving forward in 2026, we have again renewed our commitment to maintaining a safe environment in our jurisdiction, and we're going to do that by focusing on continued crime reduction and deterrence by increasing our presence, traffic safety and enforcement, youth protection and prevention of crimes, particularly when you're looking at the number of schools that we have in our district. Also, border and coastal interdictions in collaboration with Marine Unit. As you're aware, the Rodney Bay Marina and that the Pigeon Island Peninsula is a place that attracts a lot of vessels, so we work closely with the Marine Unit to ensure that we maintain our border integrity. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to continue our community partnership, and we are also going to be focused on that transition from our current location into the new Grosley Police Headquarters. This is a big activity for us, and we want to ensure that we conduct that transition smoothly. So this is what we look forward to in 2026. Thank you.
Henry. We will now hear from the Superintendent of Police with responsibility for the Department of Road Safety and Traffic Investigations, Mr. Troy Lamontine.
Good morning, everyone. Let me join the senior commander of the organization, wishing the St. Lucia public a blessed and prosperous 2026. I would also like to wish all police officers, more particularly the members of the Department of Road Safety and Traffic Investigations, a prosperous 2026. We will continue to work very diligently to enforce all laws of St. Lucia and those that the department is particularly charged with, which is the enforcement of the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act and its attendant regulations. The year 2025 commenced with a number of utterances, promises by the Commissioner of Police with regard to road safety. These were reiterated by myself in a number of deliveries to the public as it relates to what our plans were. Most outstandingly, the reduction of serious road accidents and fatalities. I wish to indicate that the department did fulfill its mandate in reducing the number of road fatalities, also in reducing the number of serious accidents. And I am referring to not only in the Castries and Grosley area, but that extended to the entire length of breadth of the island. In 2026, we wish to be more focused in that endeavor and try to reduce serious accidents and road fatalities even further. We continue our collaboration with the various agencies and stakeholders who have a part to play with regard to road safety. Most importantly, the principal agency, which is the Ministry of Transport, the National Insurance Council, insurance companies, the media, and the general public. One of the significant items on the agenda, and it's not the RSLPF agenda, but we are a very, very close partner with the Ministry of Transport with regard to a review of the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act. The issues concerning vehicles being imported with tint is one factor that needs to be addressed as it relates to the amending the legislation. a very burning concern is also the issue of these very bright lights that are either the vehicles are being imported into the island with, but also that vehicle owners are modifying or altering the lights that the vehicles are imported with and importing these LED and other lights that drivers, especially at nights, are beginning to complain about. It does affect your vision and causes a risk of collision. Another issue that we want to look very closely into is the issue of driving while under the influence of alcohol or other mind-altering substances. Whereas the law does not specifically provide for a process that enables for this to be done or proven seamlessly, we are seeking or exploring other means that makes it very simpler for the police to identify and confirm that a driver is driving intoxicated or under the influence of a mind-altering drug. I think with these interventions, we will work or reap results that will cause our accidents and deaths on the road to be minimized much further than in 2025. Lastly, I would want to thank all members of St. Lucia for cooperating with law enforcement officers. I know sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to be stopped and inconvenienced. However, the police has a responsibility for the general well-being and safety of the St. Lucian public. And one of the ways we do that is trying to identify that vehicles are properly registered, drivers have the lawful instruments, being a valid driver's license to be on the road, the vehicle is duly insured. Therefore, these are the primary reasons that police would be stopping motor vehicles on the road. So don't feel that you're being harassed. It is just a matter of we're inquiring to ensure that the law is being complied with. Today, I want to indicate that the Ministry of Transport and the Department of Road Safety are currently embarking on an inspection at a number of the bus stands in the Castries area to ensure that compliance is at its highest. Again, I would like to thank the St. Lucian public for cooperating with the police, collaborating with the police in assisting us in carrying out our mandate for road safety and crime reduction in St. Lucia. Thank you.
Superintendent Small. And I would now like to welcome Mr. Crescent Lionel, the inspector in charge of the Immigration Department, who will speak on his department.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, for inviting me to your press conference this morning. For the year 2025, the Immigration Department would have been successful in achieving numerous things the department was charged to do. We would have issued over 5,000 St. Lucia passports. We would have seen the reintroduction of 10-year passports for adults 18 years and above. We are in the closing stages of making available online applications for persons who are renewing their passport. So hopefully within this first quarter of the year, we should be able to apply for our passports online when they are expired. Currently, we are testing it at the immigration office, and we are already making it available to some persons when they walk in to renew their passports to ensure that everything is in order, so we can introduce it to the wider community and launch it. So we should be able to do that by the first quarter of this year. Additionally, we would have processed well over 12,000 passengers coming into St. Lucia, both to the north and the south of the island, whether they would be coming in by sea or by air. Our passport given that we are issuing the 10 years passport now, we have changed a few features of the passport. So the passport are more secure. It's a very secure passport. It is a electronic passport, e-passport. The symbol for the chip is on the passport. So our passport has been very much secure. So we're looking to make a few changes to the process of application for passports for St. Lucians to make it a little more efficient for persons. One of the things we are looking at and we are actively pursuing is to have a sub-office to the south of the island in Vieux-Fort. The commissioner has given me the responsibility to make the necessary recommendations and to visit the south to see where applicable, where it can become operational in the south. For this year, we are also reviewing the Immigration Act and the Passport Act and various other legislation that guides the duty of the Immigration Department, so we can become a more efficient department in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. The commissioner and his executive has realized that the efficiency of the Immigration Department would occur well for the St. Lucia community, and that it would be a positive image for the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the government of St. Lucia as a whole. So because of this now we are reviewing the legislation to allow us to be more efficient. We have the online ED card, which we just completed a review of, and it is more user friendly. We were having a few issues with it, which has been addressed. This was launched last week. The new version of the online ED card was launched last week. So persons who are traveling to St. Lucia would be more at ease when completing these online immigration cards. So that's the majority of what we've been doing. This year we should be. I just need to remind St. Lucians that we accept applications Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and collections is Tuesdays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and collections is Tuesdays and Thursdays, to allow for the department to be very efficient when attending to the public, because our main goal is to ensure that persons do not remain at the department for more than half hour. And this is a procedure implemented to ensure that when persons come to immigration, they do not remain at the department for more than a half hour for waiting for service. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Lionel. We'll now hear from Superintendent Stephen Victorin on the happenings within the Southern Division.
Good morning. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish St. Lucia, our customers, a blessed 2026. Also, the executive of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the rank and file, and my team in the Southern Division. I would like to thank them for the commitment they've demonstrated over the past year in keeping the community safe. I would like to also call on them to prepare for another more productive year, because I do have the intent to keep them energized, mobilized, to continue to enhance, one, the cordial relationship which has developed between us and our customers, that we can better serve them. I appreciate that policing is the job of every St. Lucian, and we encourage the members of the public to cooperate with us towards creating the safer environment that we will all enjoy. I was reassigned to the Southern Division in October of 2025, I took up the division in a tranquil state. That was maintained up to the end of the year because we knew we had a very busy period from elections, from Journée Créole into elections and then into the Christmas period. So it called for the officers to exhaust quite a bit of effort, but I must say that effort has not gone without reward because I can see that we had a safe enough season and we've started this year. We did have one incident, but I will provide an update on that. You might have heard of the body which was discovered. I will provide an update which will again demonstrate the success that we can achieve with the effort the officers have put in. For the new year, the intent is to focus on creating 1, safe communities, and 2, safer roads. The Southern Division has been in discussion with the Ministry of Infrastructure as to ways that we can help enhance safety on our roads. That would include erection of road signs, refreshing and introducing new road markings. We had discussion in December with a team from the engineering department, and it's focused on creating structure, or introducing the infrastructure to better allow the bus operators to function whilst creating the least inconvenience to other road users. So I look forward to realizing that installation of that new infrastructure. The problem exists near the Marcy supermarket in Black Bay. In fact, we did have one collision occur in December as a result of that deficiency. So that is one of the areas we look forward to correcting in 2026. For general community safety, the thrust is to help build on the relation which already exists, the collaboration between the community and the police. On that note, I wish to stress to our customers that the function of the police may seem to cause inconvenience to members of the public on occasion, but we wish to impress that that is not the intent. We remain committed to providing a safe environment for every St. Lucian, which includes ourselves and our families. So I please cooperate with the police when you are approached by the police, and that brings into focus an incident which occurred in December of 2025 at Victoria Swarzell, where officers were on duty. One of the officers was approached by a couple who had been assaulted by one individual. He accompanied that complaining customer towards identifying his assailant. That officer came under attack. He was assaulted, and he had to call on his colleagues to provide support. The colleagues came forth, and it took at least 8 officers attempting to subdue 2 individuals. Those 2 individuals eventually fled, but not before causing harm, physical harm, to an officer, which saw him having to receive medical care. We have made progress in that matter. 2 individuals have been arrested over time. The first The first of those being Jerome Gilead. He's a 45-year-old from Mondidon, Castries. He was arrested on the 3rd day of January. He was charged with a number of offenses, which included 2 counts of assault, 1 count of resist arrest, and insulting words. He was taken before the 2nd District Court for arraignment on the 6th of January, and he was offered bail of $3,000. He has posted bail and is due to return to court on the 11th of March 2026 in Soufrière. The second individual, on Friday the 9th of January, was arrested, him being Clint Gilead, a 33-year-old, also of Mondidon, Castries. He has been charged for the offenses of assault police, threatening words, and resisting arrest. He was taken before a magistrate on the 13th of January 2026 and was remanded in custody. Clint Gilead also has charges pending before the 1st District Court for an incident which happened on the 14th of December 2024. Those charges are similar to those I highlighted earlier, that being of resist arrest and assault police. On Monday, the 12th of January 2026, about 8:05 a.m., the V4 police station received a call of the discovery of a decomposing body at Beanfield V4. That is within the vicinity of the old landing strip. The police responded, an investigative team responded, and they discovered the body of a male who was later identified as Norbert Crick, a 66-year-old of Docamel V4. A post-mortem was conducted on the body yesterday, and the cause of death was determined to be traumatic brain injury due to multiple skull fractures as a consequence of blunt force trauma. The investigative team earlier this morning conducted an operation, search operation, during which one individual of interest is now in custody in relation to that incident. I must thank the team for the effort employed towards realizing where we are right now in the investigation of that incident. I also call on members of the public who has any information which can assist us to realize greater strides in this investigation, that they can contact the Criminal Investigation Department at V4 at 456-3927, or crime hotline at 555, or provide anonymous tips at our crime hotline app. On Thursday, the 8th day of January 2026, about 1:20 p.m., the V4 police station received information of a collision at Beanfield V4. They responded to discover the driver, Dana Toubier, of a motor car, a 24-year-old female of Deriso Miku, in distress. Emergency services responded and conveyed the individual to the St. Jude Hospital. Upon arrival, she was pronounced as deceased. The Department of Road Safety and Traffic Investigation South has conduct of that matter, and between then and now has recorded a number of witness statements from independent witnesses, also witnesses related to the deceased. At this point, there is no indication from the evidence gathered that any foul play is involved with this incident. It was also brought to our attention that a second vehicle might have been involved in that incident. That has been dispelled through the eyewitness testimony, also documentary evidence. I would like to thank one particular partner within our community who has contributed greatly to our success as it relates to creating a safer environment for our bread and butter within the island. And I refer to our tourism sector, the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association. I must single them out because they have provided great support to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force through my engagement with them, both in Northern Division and now Southern Division. I do have plans to enhance or help create a safer environment for our tourism product, which I intend for it to impact not just the south, but also the north of the island. So I would like to thank the SLHEA and wish them well in 2026, that we can continue to achieve great successes in the interest of this country. I thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Victorine. We will now hear from the Assistant Commissioner of Police for the Central Division, Mr. Luke De Freitas.
Good morning all, and like all the speakers before me, let me welcome you, the press, to our continued collaboration during 2026. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for the dissemination of police and national security related matters to the St. Lucian public. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the general public for the increased assistance during 2025, and the police department looks forward with eagerness for even more support in 2026. I would also like to send commendation to police officers island-wide for the immense effort that they put in to crime fighting during 2025. I know some of our officers are tired and are deserving of well-needed rest, but yet they continue on a daily basis to provide that level of support to the senior command and to the people of St. Lucia in that attempt to continue to make our space one of safety. In relation to the Central Division, the division continues to be one of the most active of the 3 policing districts within St. Lucia. Overall crime in 2025, 5,519 reported cases, compared to 6,415 in 2024, which represents a 14% decrease. Notwithstanding, it remains the highest across the divisions. Property crimes, the Central Division is a persistent hotspot for burglaries, specifically in residential areas like La Clery, Masha, Lastic Hill, Cicero. Most of our burglaries were recorded from these areas. These burglaries occurred during early morning or daylight hours when properties were unoccupied. Violent and opportunistic crime. Stealing from person. This category saw a 27% increase mid-year, particularly in high traffic zones like the bus stands, as we refer to them as our near commercial centers in the city center. Assault with dangerous weapon remains the most prevalent serious offense, often involving knives or cutlasses. Attempted murders, there has been a notable island-wide increase, indicating higher levels of targeted lethal intent. Firearm proliferation. The Central Division saw a sharp increase in firearm-related offenses, and that spiked by 40% in late March of 2025, including possession of prohibited weapons and component parts. Homicides, island-wide, we would have recorded 70 homicides for 2025. Out of that figure, in 24 of these incidents, persons have been arrested and charged. Additionally, I want to say that we have all but solved a further 6 of these 70 homicides, save for the fact that we have not been able to effect arrest in these matters. One that comes quickly to mind is the homicide on Carnival, was it Carnival Monday? That homicide, we have identified the suspects in that matter, but they continue to elude arrest. So, whilst we've made arrests and preferred charges in 24, we are well on the way to solving a further 6. Also in 2025, we would have put to closure 2 matters arising out of 2024. So some immense work was done with relation to our homicides. For 2025, we continue to call on the public for the much needed support. We have many matters that we still need to put closure to, and like we've always said, that assistance from the public is absolutely critical in such situations. Traffic and accident hotspots. While fatal accidents decreased island-wide by almost 50% in 2025, overall road safety remains a priority due to high collision volumes. Accident-prone roads and high-risk areas within the Central Division. The Castries city center, a high frequency of minor damage collisions due to density. The John Compton Highway, noted for both pedestrian-related risk and opportunistic thefts from individuals walking along the route. The Millennium Highway is a frequent location for serious collisions. Darling Road, a major hotspot for both traffic congestion and street-level crimes such as stealing from person and robberies. Riverside Road, Chisel Street, these areas in the city center are prone to accidents and personal property thefts. We have embarked on some specific policing strategies for 2026 to help quell with some of these incidents that I have highlighted, and some of them being saturated public space patrols. And that would be an increase in the deployment of both plainclothes and uniform police patrols. And we're looking at areas such as the Grosile and the Forestier bus stands. These were trouble spots over 2025. We want to do some work on in 2026 to eliminate, decrease if not eliminate, activities around these areas. Firearm interdiction, we intend to maintain intensified intelligence-led operations, focus on inland recoveries and seizures of firearms and ammunition, and also increase our work at our ports, both legal ports of entry and our porous borders. enhance CCTV monitoring. The intent is to expand real-time surveillance in high crime-prone areas. That would assist in improved response times and suspect identification. As it is now, we have one central hub for the monitoring of our CCTV cameras, almost 800 of them. We have taken a decision to decentralize that particular activity so that the district stations and other stations around the island can assist in the monitoring of CCTV. As it is now, that asset is almost used as a reactive tool that we go back and replay videos and so on to capture images. We believe that if we can monitor our CCTV in real time, we can actually intercept the commission of a lot of what happens, especially within the city center. We also want to embark on some residential security partnerships, launch community policing initiatives on burglary hotspots, to encourage improved environmental design such as lighting, and also neighborhood watch programs. Traffic enforcement corridor. We will continue to establish targeted checkpoints and roadblocks, and increase focus on speeding and impaired driving. Superintendent Lamontagne would have already alluded to some of these strategies. Domestic and interpersonal conflict resolution. Since many of our wounding and assault cases stem from domestic disputes, we want to expand community-based conflict resolution programs to prevent escalation to lethal violence. These, amongst others, these would form some of our main priority areas for execution this year, among other strategies that we have also documented. Commissioner, I think, will speak a lot more on some of these later during the conference. Some matters of interest that we had promised updates on, especially in the area of Canine Officer Tyson. We have now received results which were further conducted on blood samples taken from Officer Tyson. Again, the results indicate that there was absolutely no trace of any kind of poisoning to Officer Tyson. Not rat-bit poisoning, not lead, not mercury, no trace of poisoning at all in the death of Officer Tyson. It means, therefore, we now need to return to the table with the pathologists and other professionals to determine a cause of death. And that is the next step. And I hope in the near future we can cross that hurdle and give some kind of feedback to the general public. I have been approached by certain members of the press about an incident occurring within the Masha jurisdiction. This incident began last year, December 31st, about 10:45 p.m., where in the course of an arrest, the Masha police, or the police rather, had cause to shoot Lucius Cauldron. He got shot in the right thigh. He was taken to a medical facility on island, treated, and discharged sometime during the morning of January the 1st. On January 4th, whilst in custody at the Masha police station, he took ill, was transported to a medical facility, and pronounced deceased. A post-mortem examination has been conducted on the body of Mr. Lucius, and the cause of his death has been cited as a multitude of health complications that the gentleman suffered. In short, I can tell you that the post-mortem has indicated that the shooting incident had no bearing on the death of the gentleman. We are presently in conversation with the family, and notwithstanding, investigations continue into the initial incident of the shooting. So I think this is I don't want to say in brief, but about the end of my submission at this time, unless further questions arise from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, ACP Luke de Freitas. We'll now hear from the Deputy Commissioner of Police with responsibility for corporate services and strategic operations, Mr. Ronald Phillip.
Hi, good morning, all. Let me wish you a happy and prosperous 2026. I want to take this opportunity to wish my police colleagues throughout the island a happy and prosperous 26, and hope that we can continue making significant strides in ensuring that St. Lucia remains a safe place by delivering an enhanced policing product to the citizenry. I also need to make special mention of the departments which fall under corporate services and strategic operations. They include the Gangs, Narcotic and Firearm Unit, the Marine Unit, the Special Service Unit, the Immigration Unit, Information Technology, Police Academy, Garage, Research and Development, the Special Operations Team, Special Branch and CIO to a lesser extent. The year 2025, you'd realize it was a challenging year for police officers. On December 1st, we would have had our general election. Every 5 years, this is the biggest operational activity for any police force, and this police operation went on smoothly. Carnival is the second major activity, and Mr. De Freitas would have given a brief in terms of where we're at with the singular incident, the homicide investigation, which caused some level of fear among our citizenry. But Mr. De Freitas did report that this matter is under control and that an arrest is almost imminent in this matter. Again, we would have had 70 homicides. Most of our murders, we realize, we know that the commission of these offenses are for the use of firearms. It continued to remain of concern to the police organization. Notwithstanding, I could tell you that we had a nearly 40% increase in the number of recovery of firearms island-wide. So this in itself is a significant achievement for law enforcement. 2025, we saw greater collaboration with external agencies, the Financial Investigations Authority, Customs and Excise Department, and some external partners. I think I want to place on record my sincere thanks to those agencies for assisting us in managing our crime situation. In terms of the government also injected significant resources in our organization, which would have assisted in our operations. Currently, we have 80+ police officers in training, and those officers should be exiting our academy sometime this month, which would again significantly assist us in police operations. We also had the privilege of assisting the Bodley Correctional Facility, the Castries City Constabulary, and the St. Lucia ANC Ports Authority in boosting their numbers. So you see, it's a holistic, that level of, that multifaceted approach and that holistic approach will only yield positive results for the country, St. Lucia. So again, I just want to place on record my sincere thanks to the police officers island-wide, notwithstanding operations or those within the stations. I know that the officers have been working extremely hard, and oftentimes on record, we don't go and say thank you, but I want to say thank you to all my colleague officers out there. I also want to extend a happy new year to the families of those police officers who allow the young persons to join our organization and continue being of service to our country. So as the conference progresses, you will hear more from me. Thank you.
ACP Philip. We will now hear from the Police Commissioner, Mr. Vern God.
Good morning. I want to take the opportunity to thank the entire St. Lucian citizenry for 2025. In my opinion, it was a very tough year and busy year for law enforcement. But of course, with the help of the St. Lucian citizenry in general, we were able to do a relatively good job. Based on the statistics, it reflects marginal drop in crime in many areas. Of course, we expect on the 5th of February for us to give the full landscape of these statistics, as we are still collating the information island-wide. Before I go further, let me, of course, share sympathy to the media and the family of Lisa Joseph. She, too, was my friend. We went to the Corinth Secondary School together as colleagues. She attended the same school and classroom with my wife. So it's a great loss for my family and for the media and for St. Lucia, in my humble opinion. I also want to, express the sympathy to two of our fallen colleagues that were laid to rest last week, Miss St. Catherine. And, it brings to mind very hard circumstances, especially when families have lost generally. We, as a police organization, are responsible for law enforcement. And for 2025, we saw the loss of 70 individuals through violent crime. I want to, again, express my sympathy to all the family members, because the life of every individual in St. Lucia is an important life, and I will go as far as saying in the world. But the police, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, we are trying, and we expect for 2025 to go a little further to see how we could properly deliver our crime fighting and national security product. I think so far the 70 figure of homicides is generally the lowest figure for the last 5 years, even if the last year's figure is only down by 6, but we can see a trend. I've always said to my senior command that it has taken us 20 years to get to the position that we're in currently, especially with crime and homicides. So it will take us 4 to 5 years to come out of that situation that we're in, but certainly we will be out of it. Next week, we will have a gun amnesty. Mr. Luc de Freitas will share the entire landscape and apparatus involved in that amnesty, because we need to take all firearms off the street. And when we are done with the amnesty, we will be going aggressively to deal with lawbreakers in regards to the possession of firearms. We will look at everybody who has an illegal firearm as somebody who wants to cause destruction and loss of life, and we will treat the matter affirmatively. I think it's really time that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force puts down its feet on some of these more serious matters. We cannot have little boys and girls in St. Lucia doing stupidness, and the rest of us cannot live the way that we're supposed to live. We invest in this country, and we're supposed to live properly in this country. It's supposed to be a very good environment. And 2026, is the year to manage it affirmatively. As a result, last week, I submitted to the office of the Honorable Prime Minister / the Minister of National Security a 127 steps to order in St. Lucia, and we will take these steps affirmatively so that we could all live in a better country. I will provide a copy of the document to the media, so of course you guys will have a better understanding of what the intention is with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. We will conduct a number of formal operations. They are highlighted in the document. I'm sure you all will take some time next week when I submit it to you all to digest it and speak about it to the public. I also want to take the opportunity to thank my High Command. I think we've had a very warm and cordial relationship over the last 14 months. To me, it has been a relatively good, I would say an honor to serve with these men and women, some around the table, and of course some who are not able to make it at this press conference this morning. The ambience has been one of teamwork and esprit de corps, working together as a family to fight crime. Without the men and women in my senior corps, I don't think that we would have been able to see the kind of declines that we currently see today. And by extension, of course, every member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, I need to thank them. And I think they need to be proud officers, and I said that yesterday during a meeting when I reflected on the amounts of vettings that we had done for 2025. We were able to achieve over 700 vettings, that's polygraphs. That means more than half of our police organization are vetted against integrity. And to be honest with you, I've only had one or two instances of difficulty which I have managed. We will continue the vetting period for 2026 to serve the entire force. Actually, all of the sensitive departments are 100% vetted. So for example, the Central Intelligence Unit, only persons of secret and confidential levels reside there. The Special Branch, for example, is 38 people. Every single officer has been vetted, and every officer has passed the vetting. We also have the Marine Unit. The Marine Unit has done the Leahy vetting at 100%. I think we may have maybe 99%. We have one or two people that we still have to do at the Marine Unit. But the formal polygraphs, everybody has done their polygraph in the Marine Unit. We have the SIA. We just revamped and added, I think, 3 new people there, Special Investigations Authority. And all the persons there are polygraphed. We polygraph a wide array of persons from the immigration, the SSU, and also the GNFU. And I think we're in a good position. When I look at the amount of money spent in conducting these polygraphs, especially against what exists in the region, I think this shows a level of commitment from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force to ensure that we have the best level of integrity with the best suited people for the respective roles. We, like the deputy said, have had 2 consecutive courses, one of 79 persons graduated, and this current course we have 82 police officers. And we also have persons from the ancillary services being provided with training by us and their agencies, and that is working well. The 127 steps to order is separate and apart from our strategic objectives. It's a tactical approach, but we will be tabling at the end of February a 2026 to 2029 corporate plan. The plan is already completed. There's just a bit of fine-tuning that we have to do. We also have last year been able to purchase and develop and have the police management system live. We, however, have had a little difficulty in the guidelines. So I think next week, it's Wednesday the 17th, is it? Yeah? The 21st? Okay, the 21st, sorry. The 21st, we will be, as a senior person, as a senior team, deciding who gets what credentials on the management system. It's a comprehensive document. It was done by a subcommittee. And to do that, and also to support the legal framework surrounding that. So we're in a better position. So at this point, I will open the floor to all your questions and whatever you want clarified. But before we do so, I just want to chip in on one matter, the Shakadan Daniel matter. That matter, we have sent all of the forensic sampling to a lab to get some independent results. And also we have engaged the forensic pathologist, Mr. Walker. And it's my intention that after everything is in hand, to have a separate press conference to deal just with that matter. So the floor is open, and we will take the questions from everybody excepting Chloe.
Okay. Hi, good morning. Chloe Dantis, NBC Prime News. My first question is, can you just be clear on where exactly Lucius died? Did he die at the Masha police station, or did he die at the hospital?
At this instance, I am not in a position to make a categorical statement on that. I will await the outcome of the investigation. Like I told you, he took ill at the Masha police station. Ambulance man transported to the hospital, pronounced dead there. So I am unable at this point to indicate whether it was in transit or at the station.
Okay, and there was also another incident that occurred on Elections Day in Richford, where it is alleged that a police officer actually shot an individual in his thigh. The bullet went into both of his legs, and he had to go to immediate surgery. Can you just give me an update on that matter?
No, I am unable to provide an update on this matter at this time. Unfortunately, I have not been privy to the investigating or the investigators' file, so I do not want to speak from an area of, well, I'm not informed really.
St. Lucia Times. You mentioned that the gun amnesty is going to start next week, but I just wanted a little bit more information regarding that. I think you had mentioned that Descartes would have provided some more information. So I just want to know how it's going to work. Some people are questioning why that approach is being used, and just some further elaboration on that matter.
Okay, so gun amnesties are used frequently across the globe. It's just an added strategy to try to rid the streets of unlicensed firearms and ammunition. It's a softer approach to robust police operations and seizures of these weapons. So it's nothing new in policing circles. Like Commissioner has indicated, the intention is for this amnesty to begin on the 19th. That is Monday of next week. Do I have the date correct there? Yes, Monday. And will remain for a period of 7 days. The amnesty seeks to target persons who are in possession of illegal weapons and ammunition. It also targets licensed firearm holders who have not updated their licenses. So technically, your license is not paid, not updated, you are in illegal possession of a firearm. So the amnesty embraces those persons as well. The amnesty will not extend to the non-prosecution of offenses which were committed using the surrendered firearm. So any firearm surrendered will be subject to ballistic testing, and should it be found that it is aligned in any way to the commission of any past offense, persons will be made to answer. I want to reiterate that the amnesty is not a cash for gun initiative. We will not be paying for the surrender of firearms. The amnesty will not include the seizure of illegal weapons and ammunition through police operations. So during the amnesty period, if you are found in possession of an illegal weapon or ammunition, again I reiterate, the amnesty will not be extended to you. It has to be voluntary surrender of that weapon. It would be wise that we put certain stipulations in place. While the amnesty is in place, we do not want to be faced with situations where people are cornered with illegal weapons and ammunition, and the defense is, I was on the way to surrender it. Yeah? So, we have decided that the amnesty will run during daylight hours, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the days stated. We would advise that persons intending to surrender a firearm make a call to a police station, to a police officer, or any prominent citizen of their intention to surrender that firearm. It leads to evidence of intent that you genuinely intended to surrender that firearm. In terms of the transportation of that firearm to the intended destination of surrender, it ought to be unloaded, no ammunition in the chamber or barrel, depending on the type of firearm, no ammunition in magazines. It must be secured within some carrier, a bag, a box, a safe, wrapped in a blanket. It has to appear that it is being transported with no signs of any criminal intent surrounding the method of transportation. We have said that live weapons are subject to ballistic testing for past crimes, and that whoever surrenders them will be made to answer. We encourage persons to take a direct route to the intended point of surrender, meaning that if you are going to leave your house with an illegal weapon for surrender to a police station, that it should be from your home directly to the police station, no stops along the way. So you decide to stop at a bar for a drink and the police accost you there, sorry, no amnesty. We have put these measures in place, like I say, so that people do not use the amnesty period as a get out of jail period, you know, that you are caught, you are on your way with some criminal intent, but the police have now caught up with you, and you decide, hey, but I'm bringing it in through the amnesty. So these are some of the stipulations, some of the guidelines around the amnesty period. We have decided that the amnesty period will be for 7 days, like I said. So it will run from Monday to Thursday of next week, 4 days, and run again from Monday to Wednesday of the following week. Weekends, on record, are very active periods for the use of illegal weapons in illegal activity. And so anyone caught with firearms, the weekend that separates the two periods will not be subject to the amnesty. Also, I have indicated that the amnesty targets persons who are licensed firearm holders but have not updated their licenses. The facility for paying these licenses is closed on Saturday and Sunday. So, not to deprive them of these 2 days, we have deliberately skipped them and given them the entire 7 days to be able to make these payments of their licenses. This represents the general framework of how the amnesty period will be rolled out. Daylight, right? Daylight, yes.
Okay. Good morning. Josiah Bissett from Hot 7 TV. Just a quick question. I know earlier this month there was the reporting of disappearance of 34-year-old Cassie John of Latok. I just wanted to know if there's any update on that matter or any update on the disappearance.
So just this morning, I would have spoken with the investigator in terms of an update. I still await that update, but as of now, she has not been located. Yes, but I await an update from the investigator. I hope that it comes through before the end of this conference.
Right. Amanda King from DBS Television. Can we get an update on the recent boating accident in Soufrière?
Yes, so the boating accident in Soufrière would fall under my purview. I can tell you that the incident occurred whilst the victim was snorkeling and the vessel went through. I can provide you more details of recent. I did not receive an update, so I can subsequent to the press conference provide you a more detailed, more recent update on that incident.
Also, can I get a response from you regarding the ICA and the Cannabis Collective statements about police targeting growers despite ongoing talks?
Okay, so I was privy to a recording. Let me inform the room and the general public at large that while strides are being made in a particular direction with regards to the decriminalization of cannabis, that has not been settled. As far as I know, there are no legally registered ganja, cannabis, marijuana farmers in St. Lucia. The cultivation of marijuana, ganja, cannabis, whatever name we want to apply to it, up to this point is not legalized, and therefore, like I say, I do not know that we have legally registered cannabis farmers on island. Until such time that the laws are amended to facilitate cannabis being a legal industry, the police will continue to crack down on all illegal possession, cultivation, trafficking, transporting, selling, whatever you want to call it, of cannabis. Thank you.
From me, what does the law say about animal abuse and how does police handle these cases? And does the police have enough resources to respond to those abuse cases?
Yes, there is law to handle issues of cruelty to animal. And as long as the reports are made to us, we will attend to it. There is a veterinary department within the Ministry of Agriculture who would be a very huge partner in the investigation of such crimes or offenses, if you want to call it that. So yes, as long as these reports are made to us, we will launch the necessary investigations into these matters.
Amnesty. You did allude to the possibility of individuals reaching out to trusted individuals in society. And of course, in this situation, when you're dealing with amnesties, in some instances, persons want anonymity. Is there a provision or consideration that persons who actually want to bring in such firearms, ammunition, could actually do it through a third party trusted individual like a priest, a pastor, a lawyer, whatnot?
And of course, given the fact that you're suggesting that the weapons will be checked, of course, for past criminal associations, would somebody coming into the police station have to do any sort of documentation or sign off in terms of the process, or is that an anonymous process?
Cannot be a situation. It cannot be a situation where we just accept these firearms without follow-up ballistic testing. We cannot close our eyes to the fact that these firearms may have been involved in some past incident that needs to be investigated. What I can say is, in whichever way these firearms are taken off the streets, we welcome. But we would most likely, for record keeping sake and for follow-up investigations, need to know the source of the firearm. We will need to know the source of the firearm. We cannot close our eyes to the fact that a firearm may have been used in the commission of many of our unsolved murders. Yeah? So, like I say, we welcome the seizure or the surrender of their firearm in any form, but we would prefer to know, and for record keeping and follow-up purposes, who is actually surrendering the firearm.
HTS. Also, just to follow up on this question, is there any incentive for people bringing in the firearms, illegal firearms?
I think one of the main points I would have alluded to, it is not a cash for guns initiative. We're not buying guns. We're not buying illegal guns. Yeah, so the incentive is to make St. Lucia safer, even for the person surrendering the firearm. That's the main incentive there. Yeah?
Those kind of initiative has proven that when initiative like this take place, giving a reward would see more people bringing in the firearms, something like that. We saw that happen when the last time we had the amnesty. It was very successful. Do you believe that something like that wouldn't happen?
I am not too sure of statistics in previous amnesties, but for this particular period, we will not be paying for the surrender of firearms.
With illegal firearms continuing to pose a serious threat, what concrete actions?
Just 1 minute.
Just want to clarify Mr. Jeremiah's statement. Notwithstanding the amnesty, we have mechanisms in place to provide rewards to persons who assist us in recovering illegal firearms. So that is a facility that is in place and will be utilized during the amnesty period also. So the amnesty period will not be stopping police operations like Mr. DeFreitas explained earlier.
Okay, with the illegal firearms continuing to pose a serious threat, what concrete actions and operational changes are being implemented in 2026 to reduce gun violence?
Well, the reduction of gun violence is one of the major points on the 127 points to order. And the third step of the points is actually to call the amnesty, because we're utilizing the amnesty as a point where we're willing to apply that soft approach, because whether through the amnesty or not, we will be moving aggressively to rid the streets and reduce the amount of illegal firearms and ammunition in St. Lucia. So during that amnesty, we will still have a number of aggressive operations for persons who do not want to operate within that window. And then we will triple it after the amnesty. We'll look at individuals relative to what their intentions are with the firearm. So after the amnesty, we will have a number of organized operations. We have 3 of them that are named in the 127 steps, and then we will manage that. So whether through the amnesty or not, we will be bringing in these firearms. This year, last year, 2025, we brought in approximately 114 firearms of different calibers, some of them being submachine guns and the lot. We also brought in 9,098 on my last count. You have the count? 9,098 lethal rounds of ammunition. And I reiterated it's the largest number in the recorded history of St. Lucia, both for firearms and ammunition in 2025. In 2024, after September 2nd, we brought in 1 firearm every other day. So it is a little guide to show you how aggressive we intend to move on the issue of firearms and ammunition. I've said already that the police is not about any big talk, but we will follow up with the requisite action to make sure that the place is safe. Okay?
Okay, my second question. In 2026, what measures are in place to strengthen police accountability and internal oversight, especially in light of public concerns about misconduct, and how is the RSLPF working to rebuild and maintain public trust?
We recognize that one of the areas that we've been lacking in 2025 is in regards to internal discipline. And as a result, we last month have put in place the office of the adjudicator. We have in the first instance assigned 2 adjudicators for disciplinary matters. So Mr. Albert Shalry in the south and also Mr. Luke De Freitas in the north are the ones handling the adjudications. We've already started. So this is the avenue that we are using to ensure that, there's internal discipline and justice for officers. And I say justice because on a number of occasions, allegations are made that are frivolous. We see it all the time. For some reason in St. Lucia, everybody think that their position is correct. And we will do that adjudication and justice position for both the officers to release them of some of the allegations that are hanging on them, and again for the public to ensure that there's a disciplinary process. Okay?
Commissioner, good day. I'm Reginald Andrew. I'm the Voice Publishing. Voice Publishing. Yes, I know you like to. Yes, Commissioner, you've been, the force has been placing special emphasis on social intervention, and I know over the past years or so, community policing has been top priority. Now, I want to talk on a little matter involving you personally, where we saw you going through one of the ghettos, intermingling with the guys in the ghetto on your own. You know, I don't know whether it was planned or whether you did it impromptu. But in terms of strategies, I mean, you don't lay out all your strategies, but in terms of strategizing to get to the root cause of this crime, especially you, Lamin, the young people have been, killing each other, 70 murders per year is just too much. Would this be part of the strategy of the police force moving forward, where there's more interaction, intermingling with the communities, especially like, some of the hotspots, getting to know what is the grounds, how can you help, help them, break it out, because I know the Ministry of Social Equity also, you all work along with them. Is that one of the strategies moving forward to help curb this, this crime situation?
I just wanted to put on record that I'm not the only police officer going through the ghettos and also other places. Most of my senior command on a day-to-day basis interface with persons in the length and breadth of the country. It's just that on that one occasion, the Sifle guy, the Sifle gentleman, yes, the Sifle gentleman caught us on that occasion. What you saw being cited there was actually a replay of what had happened before. It was not something new. Had it been new, they would have seen me in the graveyard and Fuller Show and also in Viewfort, because it's something that we do. We must remember that my forte, my strength is in corrections and rehabilitation. I have been in that for the last 8 years, here and abroad. And I and my team are not at war with the St. Lucian citizenry. We are certainly not at war. But what we are trying to do is to protect the rights of the majority by managing the minority who commit crime. But it is not to say that the minority are forgotten. We still need to put things in place to help them. In some cases, they are acting at their own capacity. That means whilst we at 100, some of them is at 90 and 80, my brother. So we have to recognize that as law enforcement and utilize that as part of our strategy, where we have to somewhat meet them halfway to try to manage them. And when you look at the 127-point plan, you will see a whole section of it dealing with social intervention. I think we've partnered with agencies like Pen and Ace in a musical symposium to reduce crime and criminality. We have a big concert coming up, anti-crime concert. We also have the building of a jingle for the amnesty that is coming up. We also deal with a lot of social agencies. We are dealing closely with the Ministry of Home Affairs and National Security, Home Affairs and Crime Prevention, Home Affairs and Crime Prevention, because really that is their area. We're dealing with parole. So all of this is a social approach for us to assist in the management of crime, and we cannot run away from it. So indeed, in the three-pronged approach, in neighborhood policing, community policing is our number one. I think we've invested heavily in community policing. We are investing in problem solving, and we are investing in intelligence-led policing. But all of them have to work in tandem. We cannot just think that we are living in a utopia and go social, and then we forget about problem solving. You understand? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Just quickly, one more
the,
issue.
the 70 is actually homicides, So persons killing persons, because two of the cases in the 70, one is unassigned and the other is a police-related shooting, albeit that during the time the individual was under attack, not as a police officer really. So we have 68 murders, but 70 homicides, okay? Which is actually the lowest number in the last 5 years.
In terms of the maritime, maritime regulations, one of the reporters spoke to it. It's the safety at sea. That Soufrière incident has been on for a while. There's a marine consultant who spoke about it. We've reported on it a few times. Would the police and maritime services have any impact on helping the ministry or the authorities to regulate these transports on the sea? Because like someone was saying, there should be a designated area for swimming and another area for boat activities. Is it a concern of the police that you get these incidents? They're visitors, they're locals, who've been victims of incidents at sea, fatal incidents. Would that be a concern for the force moving ahead to try and rectify the situation?
I don't want to say much on that particular matter, but I want to say that the last incident where we had the accident with the gentleman from Sisera, it was one where the gentleman was doing some snorkeling / spearfishing, and he got run over by a vessel. He had pulse. He was escorted to the hospital and then sometime later pronounced dead. Actually, during that incident, we also saw the hospitalization of the boat owner. All right. So everything looks as if it was, legitimate accident really, where one person was at a point where, it was not expected to have a swimmer. All right. But we have had incidences where, the vessels encroach on zones that they should not be in. And I've sat with many agencies recently, I think with the SLHTA and with some of the property owners in Soufrière. And we had scheduled a meeting with the police authority and them to speak generally about, order in regards to boating in the Soufrière and other areas. So the answer is yes, we are collaborating with these agencies to ensure that we could have a more refined product when it comes to boating, and we are part of the authorities on that. Okay? Yeah.
Jason Seaflay. I wanted to ask, have you been party to any communications, discussions about an impending refugee crisis coming from the South Caribbean? We find ourselves now not just part of a regional epidemic of criminality, but at the center of geopolitics, or right on the fringe of the center of geopolitics, where the failure of one of our neighboring states, the impending failure of one of our neighboring states, could end in a refugee crisis for which we might have to be prepared. Are we having those discussions regionally yet? How real is this to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force at present?
The issue of refugees is not a new issue, especially from some of the Latin American and South American countries. The region have registered the movement of thousands of people, for example, away from Venezuela. And these are figures that are cited from some of the regional papers. So we've had one or two minor alerts, but nothing significant that St. Lucia should worry about. Some of the other southern countries, for example, like ABC, Trinidad, these are the countries that had some of the major issues, including Guyana, but it has not developed into an issue for us at this point. But we have received general alerts. Essentially, if you have a crisis in one place, the crisis would affect the other place at some degree. That's what I have to say at the matter. But the region is looking at it under the auspices of RSS. So we are trying to get it under control.
Good morning, table. I have 3 sets of questions for Commissioner Mr. De Freitas and for Department of Road Safety. Commissioner, on September 20th at approximately 5:39 p.m., a video was circulated publicly showing what appeared to be police officers driving a silver Pajero, coming out of the vehicle and firing at a moving motorcycle. At a previous press conference, you were asked about the incident. You said it was under investigation. 2 press conferences later, I'm here to ask you the same thing. What is the update with this matter?
2 press conferences later?
From the time this has happened,
it
was September 20th?
That's the one.
September 20th it happened.
Yeah, that's the next.
You've had 2 press conferences since that incident took place, and you've never addressed the public on it. So this is my question.
No, I didn't have 2 press conferences subsequent to that. We missed November and December, unfortunately. I apologized for that, and as a result, we brought up the date, the last Thursday to the first Thursday. But that's inconsequential, really. I understand the question that you're asking. What has been done in regards to that? You want to report on it? Okay? You have the details, Mr. De Freitas?
No, sir. I am still awaiting file on that. And as you are aware, it happened in the Northern Division, and I'm still awaiting the file on that, which I am told is basically ready.
Okay. So, on the last occasion, I reported that they would have an investigation. I commissioned it, and the incident apparently was an incident that had happened, and we are almost prepared with the file. So I'm committing that on February the 5th, 2026, that I would be in a better position to give you the details in regards to that. As I said, we're now moving to the first Thursday, because I think it offers us more press time, and it's earlier in the month. And then following up from the first Thursday, if you all want to have, specific press time with different individuals based on what was said, that we could achieve it before the other Thursday. That's what I'm thinking.
So, can you confirm that these were officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force?
I just said the incident seemed to be a legitimate incident that had transpired. The investigation is complete. We do not have the file, and we will give you the details of it on or before the 5th of February.
Thank you, sir. My second question is for Mr. De Freitas. Mr. De Freitas, I will run through a couple of police-involved shootings, yes? And you can give me an update as to whether these matters have been sent to inquest, whether the investigation is complete, and an update on these matters.
Before you have the Freitas answer that, I also wanted to say in my opening, that although we saw a significant reduction in the homicides in St. Lucia, we've only had one police-related matter, only one, and this is an indicator of the police, operating within the respective human rights climate that we are bound to, and trying not to look at the citizenry as the enemy or us being at war with them, and we do what we have to do vis-a-vis the actual situation. Only one related incident. Yes, Mr.
Commissioner, you say one incident, but the statistics are slightly different. You are correct on 2025, but what we can see from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force over the last 7 or 8 years has been increasingly alarming, and one death is one death too many. So 2017, there were 2. 18, 1. 19, 4. 2022, there were 4 people killed by the police officers. 2023, 4. 2024, 3. So thank you very much that in 2025 only 1 person was killed. But the question really is, what has been, give us an update on all of these matters, whether they've been sent to inquest, and usually the cop-out is they're under investigation 7 years later, 10 years later. Impacts is a very, very good example of 10 years of kicking the can down the road. So in the case of J.Z. Joseph, killed by police officers on April 10th, 2024, give us an update, please, Mr. De Freitas.
Mr. Elliott, to be quite honest with you, out of memory, I would not be able to give you an update. That is something I'll have to be prepared for, go through my records, statistics, to know where these matters are at. Some of them may have already come to my desk and gone to the coroner, but to do it now without the records, it would be a difficult task.
Can you give us, over the last 3 years, one that comes to mind, one police-involved shooting that has either gone to or gone through inquest?
I can tell you that a few of them have been requested by the coroner, and I have sent them through. Like I tell you, I would have to refer to records so that I don't want to sit here and give you information that is
So if I asked you about Maxwell Leo, killed in Ancillary by the police, July 20th, 2024.
Oh, that is, what's his nickname?
Hennessy.
Yes, that has gone. That one has gone. That one has gone to inquest.
Darius Anthony, a.k.a. Lucky, July 24th, 2024.
No, that, like I tell you, Mr. Elliott, I would have to have proper records before me to adequately satisfy you with answers to these questions. I cannot off my head. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic through my office, Mr. Elliott. I see hundreds of files, hundreds and hundreds of files. I really cannot off my head give you up-to-date and adequate answers on specific instances.
So my final question is for the...
Just let me say though, I can recall 4 matters that have been sent to inquest over the last year. One of them including the Viewfort incident. That matter I had requested via the Attorney General's chamber to be sent to an inquest because of new things that we had developed, and the Attorney General's office has agreed with me, and that matter is up for inquest. The Arnold Joseph matter, it's on the list. That matter also is up for the inquest. I cannot remember offhand the other 2, but as Mr. De Freitas said, We are open to give you all the information that you want. We are not a spy or secret agency. We are an agency that wants to report to the public and St. Lucia. And that is why we put aside the first Thursday in every month to report to you. In other places, when reporters anticipate that there are pressing issues that they want answered, they request the information, and in the context of a press conference, we give the information. But we can certainly not be in a position to arbitrarily jump from matter to matter to matter. Because whereas Mr. De Freitas may not be able to speak on all of these inquests, I may have a few. Mr. Philip may have a few. De Freitas may have a few. But if asked the question, we could prepare a proper release to report to the people of St. Lucia exactly where we are. As I said before, we are not a secret agency. I'm doing it very, very open, very cordially. We invite you all, and that's what I think is good for communication. And I've said so late last year. The atmosphere between the public and the police, I credit that to the great job that has been done by the media in 2025 and before. In fact, based on a request from y'all, we opened an entire news line. I think it's RSLPF, News at 5, coming in a bit earlier, so that from that news channel, the regular news network can pick up the necessary information that they want to support their newscast. And in my view, that has been working well. But of course, I think the problem now, though, is I'm seeing 20 and 30,000 views. So you all must guide me if that is interfering with your own pockets. No, it's not a joke. Because I'm not here to compete with, we're not here to compete with the mainstream media. And if we open a news line and it is eliciting 10, 20,000, 30,000 views, in the case of Mr. What's his name, Sifley, he had one item with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, it get about 130, 140,000 views. I wonder what's the financial implication of that, Mr. Sifley. So I'm saying, if you think it's a bad idea, you must tell me, and we will try to do it differently. Because I don't want to be in the business of competing with independent news outlets. I want to be able to do it right. Okay.
Thank you, sir. My question is for Mr. Lamontagne. So, what are the lessons learned, or your department can pull from the ICE killing of Renee Good? The ICE killing of Renee Good from the United States. What are the lessons from that incident that resonate with your department, the Department of Road Safety, and especially with the increase in roadblocks and interactions between the police and drivers? And by extension, Mr. Small, of course.
I am not particularly sensitized on the matter you're alluding to. You referred to lessons learned. In police operations, I believe that training is key. What training does for police officers is that it reinforces the adherence to strict, lawful procedures, which allows for police officers to execute their duties in a very professional, safe, and effective manner.
What sensitization has your department done to the general public on how to conduct themselves in these roadblocks? Because the Renee Good situation was an ICE agent coming to her window trying to get her attention or get her to come out of the vehicle, and she drove off. and fearing that his life was in danger, he shot her. The same situation can happen in St. Lucia, which is why I asked the question, what are the lessons from that for your department and by extension Mr. Small's department?
I'm not sure what you're looking for. I think, not knowing this situation specifically, I think what I answered earlier, and I want to reinforce it, that training with regard to taking actions based on procedure is very important. And what I extract from what you're alluding to is that there may be a process where police officers need to negotiate mentally what is occurring before actions are taken. And again, I would like to revert to my point on training. Continuous training and sensitization as to corrective procedure will enhance or reduce rather incidents of where persons may make errors and mistakes in judgment. Yeah. With regard to incidents that the Department of Road Safety, Royal St. Lucia Police Force were engaged in last year, which I think I would have reported on before, two cases where videos would have depicted the actions of police officers, which appeared to be less than strict adherence to procedure. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force embarked on a course of training in the month of September, I believe, maybe later. I cannot directly allude to when it was done. A 2-week training course was conducted, which involved customer service, firearms training, use of force, and other relevant areas. Yeah, a total of about 20 police officers, both from the Department of Road Safety. Yes, it did include the officers who were a part of the incident in question and other officers from across the island. There is intention for training to continue in that regard with regard to other police officers across the police department during this year.
Although the question is not for me, but I did follow that particular matter very, very closely. And in my view, the biggest lesson that I learned, right, in regards to that matter is the pronouncement on matters that have not been thoroughly investigated by official authorities. So, for example, from day one, even before an investigation was assigned, we had particular governmental authorities making particular pronouncement on a matter that really deserved an intense investigation. So we, as an organization, we should be very thorough and very patient on how we report particular matters and not make pronouncement as to whether persons are right or wrong or left or right if we do not have a file or an investigative file in our possession. And that's where, I admired the Mr. De Freitas. Mr. De Freitas makes no pronouncement on anything if he do not satisfy himself that there's enough investigations going on particular matters. And sometimes we and the press have to be a little patient. I know it's very exciting, it's newsworthy to say things, but it's always good to say things versus the facts.
That situation was unique because the body cam footage from the United States was available. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force, we all are due to receive millions of dollars worth of body cams. Tell the public what are the expectations. You will have access to the body cams, but also if there is an incident involving someone, will that footage be made available to them?
Yes, so in terms of information to the public, especially as it relates to CCTV cameras, body cams, it will there is a procedure in which that can be obtained. And again, if anyone has interest in a matter, the police on their own cannot. There is mechanism, for example, a court order, and the court can direct any police organization to submit any information as it relates to camera footage or CCTV footage. In terms of the body cam, and some persons think it's a bad thing, but I am for the use of body cameras in our everyday policing. You made reference to the case in Minnesota, I think it is, and you saw how critical a role that the body cams and the dash cam played in that particular incident. Again, if there is a matter, like Mr. Gad rightly said, Commissioner Gad rightly said, if there is a matter under investigation, the police will be able to and can release information as long as it does not impact an investigation. So if there is a request for that level of information and it is not prejudicial to a matter, I'm sure our manual would allow for this kind of revelation.
Mr. De Freitas wants to report on some breaking news. Mr. De Freitas?
Okay, so just to inform the press and the public that we've just recorded third homicide for 2026, a stabbing incident in the city. Guy happened a few moments ago, transported to a medical facility, and he has succumbed. What I can say that the ambulance services engaged him somewhere by Dax. What street is that? Victoria. Yes, but the exact location of the incident itself is, we're still trying to sort that out. So we recorded homicide number 3 for 2026. Mr. Elliott, just to sort of shed some light on the question you asked Mr. Lamontagne. We have two situations. We have traffic checkpoints, which we deliberately set up most times for monitoring licenses, insurances, the vehicle status, and so on. We have roadblocks, which is a separate operation. Roadblocks generally stem out of intel, information received. Yeah? So, yellow BMW heading down Bexon, there are guns on board. We will move to set up a roadblock to intercept that vehicle. Depending on what that driver or persons aboard that vehicle do, because of the information we have, we may act in a particular manner. That may be totally different to how we react in a traffic checkpoint. Yeah? Where we may not have certain information, but a vehicle, for some reason, drives through the checkpoint. We may have to consider action. Maybe have a more in-depth introspection of the situation happening at hand, as opposed to how we may react to a situation where we have information which we think is credible that a vehicle is carrying guns. The reaction may be different. So I just want to throw that to you to show you the significant difference in police operations such as what you're speaking of.
Thank you for that, Mr. De Freitas. However, the question really has not been answered from the table. It was not really what training is offered to police officers. We understand that you are trained for this, but over the last year, video has surfaced of multiple infractions by police officers that violate that training that you speak of, pushing their hand in people's vehicles, removing people's stints, saying I will shoot you, for example, absolute nonsense. However, the question is, what public awareness has the police done to inform people of how they should conduct themselves when they find themselves in these checkpoints? Because you may very well find that somebody will feel that the police should not stop them or impound their vehicle for bald tires and try to drive off, or, in their opinion, not put down their window. So a simple public awareness that says, when you find yourself in a roadblock, these are the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With a heightened increase in the number of traffic checks and these operations, why has the Royal St. Lucia Police Force not done a comprehensive public awareness campaign? That was a question, you know.
So, Mr. Elliott, I think moving forward, it is a step in the right direction, and we do accept it as a bit of advice from you, and surely we will move in that direction. Not that I would not sit here and say it is entirely non-existent, but certainly it is a step in the right direction, and it is something we will explore with immediacy. Bring the media on board, of course, you know, to bring out these alerts to the public. So we will certainly make that part of our objectives. When I spoke earlier, I did allude to strategies for 2026 to counter some of our road incidents, traffic incidents, and so on. So certainly we will add that to our list of objectives for 2026, and we accept it as a bit of advice from you.
Thank you, members of the media, for your questions. We have now come to the end of this press conference. We will see you again on February 5th. Thank you for coming, and thank you to those who were watching on the live stream.